This is wild. That's a whole disco party back here. All right, I am in love. This is so cool. It's so jank right now, but you can definitely rewire it, and I'm totally gonna do that because this is amazing. All right, guys, so Model 3 and Y are basically the same vehicle, and I'm about to prove that with this upgrade. And it's with this light, so it's not routed very cleanly, but it's also because I wanted to show you that it's in here. You can obviously tuck this a little bit better behind the weather stripping right here and underneath some of the panels. Because guys, let's be honest, your stock lights are not that bright. I even upgraded these so they're brighter than the stock lights, and they're still not that bright. So this kit was made for Model Y, but I put it in my Model 3. And as you can see, it reflecting off the mattress, it lights up the entire trunk space now. I did something cool to where it automatically turns on also, so I don't have to touch anything, but it also has a manual switch too. It has an app, so you can control it. It's Bluetooth compatible. So let's check out how this works. All right, guys, this is going to be the wiring diagram, and I know it looks like a little bit of a mess right now, but I promise I'm gonna explain everything pretty well, so you're gonna understand it. This is essentially the system. A lot of these arrows are just telling you what things are. First off, the purple going around the edge, that is the light, so that's going to be going around the trunk area. Now remember, I'm using an external battery that's going to be this unit right here. That's all this is. From the USB-C coming out of the external battery, because this battery can supply 60 watts output from the USB-C, we're going to be using that. It's going to go into a relay, and a relay is basically going to tell it whether it should be on or off. Now I'm wiring it all the way up front in the center console area to a switch. That's why we need to use a relay, because I'm going to use a really thin wire to wire it all the way back through. Our cabin is not very small. Even for a Model 3, it's pretty long, at least for cables. So I don't want to run a large cable. I want to run a very thin cable. That's what relays are for. If you're not familiar with relays, this can be a little bit confusing, but it's essentially a switch when you have something else telling it to turn on. This whole circuit is closed until you tell the relay, hey, it's okay to turn this on. Before we hit the relay though, we're going to go to a fuse, and fuses are always important. It's a 15 amp fuse. You could honestly probably use a 10 amp fuse or maybe even 5 amp fuse. I would do a 10 amp fuse though. I'm gonna use a 15 because that's what I have. And then we hit our relay. So a relay has to be grounded. It's coming out of the side right here. It's going to ground back to the USB-C of our anchor. The input is going to this bottom one right here. Now let's look at the top. Up here is the new trunk light that we're wiring in. This is the female DC input, and we're going to connect it to a male end that will connect to the relay. Out of the male connector is going to come this positive and negative. So the negative, we want to run that back to ground. So we're just going to run it back into the same ground that this relay goes into. And then the positive, we need to have it go into our relay. It's going to look just like this. Pretty much the wiring diagram for our device so far. Everything else is just going to be the switch. So for the switch, all we need to do is look to the left, and from the left we just need to run this wire up. I'm going to have two different types of triggers. So the trunk light, first off, when the trunk opens, I want this to turn on automatically, so I'm going to have a three-way connector, as you can see right there, and that connector is going to take a little bit of power and send it to the relay. That's what's great, because remember, this whole system is 60 watts, but the power needed to tell the relay to turn on is super small. We could not run this whole light strip off the trunk light. All we need to do is use a little bit of power from it to tell the relay to have the rest of the higher voltage go through it. So we have the relay accepting our input from this trunk light. We're going to have a diode in here as well, because I don't want electricity flowing to this trunk light when I activate it from the switch. Now the switch I'm going to have up in the cabin so I can turn it on or off if I just want some ambient lighting in the trunk. I have manual control over it. It's going to have this pink data wire that goes down, and it's going to connect with a three-way connector into that same line that goes into our relay. Now I don't want current flowing back into our trunk light. That's why I have the diode here, and a diode only allows current power to only flow one way. I don't really care about the power going this way to the switch, because the switch, it won't be on. There's nothing for it to do this way. It's not going to flow this way because the contacts of the switch won't be closed if the trunk light illuminates. So I'm feeling good there. We're gonna power the switch through some wires that I already have running up to the front for my auto presenting door handle module. If you don't have wires running up to the front, you'll have to run two power wires up from your battery or like your cigarette lighter or whatever. You just need to find some power to power the switch. It can be super low voltage because remember, all we need to do is tell this relay to turn on. And that's pretty much it for the wiring diagram, guys. If you have any questions, because I know this can be a little bit confusing, especially if you don't have an electronics background, please leave a comment below. Please message me, whatever you want, and I'll do my best to explain it more to you. But this is what I have, and we're going to use this as the reference to build it. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Now the light will turn off automatically when I close the trunk, because right now it's on because of the trunk light. So when I close the trunk, you can see the light turned off and it's completely black back there. No lights at all. I'm super excited about this part because when I like camp in the Tesla, it's going to create such a cool ambiance because I can go in here if I wanted to when the car is locked. When the car is locked, obviously the trunk's not going to open, but this switch will also send it power, and you can see it turns on. That's so sick. Now I'm definitely going to route this cleaner, I promise you guys. I just wanted to show you how flippin' cool it looks. Oh, this looks so good. If I crawl back in here, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And eventually I'm gonna have it to where all of the light strips are behind the rubber, so it'll look super uniform. So if there's any lines, they'll be straight. Oh my gosh, guys, this is so cool. This is sick. All right, so it's a new day and I gotta put the car back together to put the lights in. So basically that's this bottom part right here. I need to put the black plastic back on, and all I'm doing essentially here is I gotta lift you guys up. So, and then this is gonna slide on top like this, and it's essentially just gonna lock into the clips. As you know, we've already tapped it to our relay. I've bundled the wires up, so this is pretty much what it looks like. Everything is inside of here. We already went over the wiring diagram. This one right here is going to tap to the light right here. It's gonna use it as a trigger source since it should be about 15 volts, very low amperage. We don't care about the amperage going into here. It has that diode, so the current is only going to flow in one way. And then we have our other slot for the wire that I have hooked up to the switch inside my cabin, which you don't need, kind of only need this part, and then it goes to the light. So it's time to hook all of that up. And this top part is back on as well. There's just two clips, one right here and one up here. And so yeah, guys, like I said, everything is controlled off the switch and off the trunk opening and closing. So it's on right now. And if I go to the front, I'm not gonna cut it this time, go to the front, little switch right here, I'm gonna turn it off, boom, the lights immediately turn off. So turning it on, boom, the lights turn on. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Wait, you can even leave it on while you're driving and just look back there, and that looks wild. Turn it off, immediate off. That's so sick, guys. And like I said, it won't work if you open the trunk. Boom. Okay, it's not as bright because, well, it's still daytime, but you can see the lights turned on automatically. Oh my gosh, these are so sick.